Today, I put myself through one of the hardest challenges you could probably ever do in this game, and that is to complete stage 10 of the brand new Extreme Boss Challenge, Rhyhorn. But with a slight twist. I cleared it without any of the new skill tree buffs. But first, I had to clear it normally to learn some of its mechanics, so stick around until the end of the video to experience the pain. The suffering and pain I had to go through to complete this crazy challenge. To start off, I had to select my team. The team I thought was deserving enough to carry me through this challenge was going to be Karabi as my DPS. He's overall really good and my only 5-star DPS, as powerful as he can get. Blackberry, she just fills up most of the roles I felt were necessary for game modes such as the Extreme Boss Challenge, and I wasn't going to try and restrict myself to one area on the map like with Peach and Rockstar. Their buffs are great, don't get me wrong, but unless you're even more mechanically skilled than I am, you're probably going to want a healer that can heal you wherever you move. Wow, she also gives that elemental debuff on the boss while buffing our team thanks to her artifact giving us extra crit damage. And lastly, my tagger, to no one's surprise, Candy Drop. Good defense down, good off heal damage, super reliable, and with the golden finery set, her strike damage was going to be very important and very effective. So with that out of the way, let's try and clear the boss first. At first I thought it wasn't going to be so bad, but boy was I wrong. This boss was pulling some of the most bullshit mechanics to the point it cost me near perfect runs. You have near to no room for mistakes, or it will cost your run completely. I was just trying to figure out the boss's mechanics to learn how to best dodge, but there are certain moments where you're not even able to dodge because you've dodged twice, you swapped enough with the cookies that there's a slight timer that you might not even be able to do another dodge. There are moments like that, but it's not very common. Now the rotations that I usually did for every single run would be from Candy Drop to Blackberry to Karabi, simply because Candy Drop would always go first to proc that Going Beyond buff and her debuffs from her ultimate, while Blackberry would also give just to heal the damage and some debuffs along with her buff from the artifact, but she will not do enough damage herself because her ultimate is not in the enhanced form in such a short period of time. And then immediately swap to Karabi because he will be getting all the buffs, and while you're using your ultimate, you'll also be doing direct hits, so you'll proc his artifact as well. That is the normal rotation that I went for every single run, and it worked up to the final run. But the only gripe is that I didn't know the best cycles afterwards. I always try to swap to Blackberry and Candy Drop for their skills, but later on I learned that I should have probably just focused on Candy Drop's skill and would have left Blackberry's skill unless I needed healing or just a tiny bit of damage, because swapping to Karabi after Candy Drop was more effective as I focused more on dealing damage and filling up that gauge bar for the strike damage. At the start of every match, his first attack will always be the 2 swings and then the big third one when he drops down the lightning within the laser cage. This is why this cycle is kind of perfect for my team. Candy Drop and Blackberry delay enough for the animations to occur while he's doing the attack, so then Karabi is completely safe afterwards, so no one takes damage in the initial rotation. Afterwards, I just kind of focus on using Candy Drops and Blackberry's skill, but like I mentioned previously, it's important to use Candy Drops and then swap into Karabi quicker rather than Blackberry, because Blackberry in the end is not going to really do much damage with her skill, and what we want here is damage at this point. The snowballs aren't too bad, you just need to make sure that you haven't used any dashes on the small ones, because if you do, you're kind of screwed because you need 2 dashes. The initial 2 balls is not that hard to dodge, you can manually do just by walking. At the same time, you still want to do damage with someone like Karabi or Candy Drop out in the rotation. Try and master the laser cage attack first, as it is the most frequent used attack from the boss. Everything else you just kind of want to use double dodge on. The snowballs, you want to use double dodge. When he spins towards you, double dodge. The big star attacks, double dodge. Most of his attacks are double dodge, but remember that some of his attacks are really fast, so they are necessary at moments. But besides that, the only one you really need to master in phase 1 is that laser cage attack. So that's what I tried doing on my win and run, which is the run being shown right now. This was honestly not as bad as the next run that I'm gonna do, but it was definitely tricky. Like I said, just trying to master that laser cage attack. Everything else you just kind of want to double dodge. A healer is very necessary here, even if you don't need a buffer for a heal like Rockstar Peach or Blackberry or even Chamomile. They're still gonna be useful because they're gonna give you those buffs or debuffs depending on who you use from the artifact or just their base kit. So a buffer is definitely gonna be necessary here even if you don't care about the heals, because going double tagger or double DPS is just gonna be so annoying, and honestly you're probably gonna lose damage out of that. Phase 2 isn't bad once you get used to it. During phase 2, which is the phase coming up right now, I just needed to do a little bit more damage and then I got there. Phase 2 isn't bad. The arena itself is just a bit annoying because it does turn into an ice floor, which your movement either goes up or down depending on the direction that you're going, of course. Now the mechanic of phase 2 is where you see that shadow. That's where the final land the boss needs to do, which is the third hit. He does 3 hits, he jumps 3 times, and on the third one you want to make sure you're standing on the shadow, so that's where he attacks. Because this mechanic, once he's done attacking, that big boulder will come down and hit the boss, and then you'll stun the boss, giving you free time to deal as much damage and set up as much as you can in that short time. His first attack that he does is a little bit annoying. You can use your ultimates if you have them up to dodge attacks if you can ever, because here you'll be stuck in a single lane and be hit with the snowball attack, which is probably the worst one to be hidden with an area like that. Afterwards, the boss will jump on you, and then you'll have a short leeway to do more damage. The boss will start doing the spin. I did barely manage to get out of the cage there with Karabi without him dying, so I'm just glad about that. And of course, I still cycled from Blackberry to Candy Drop. Here specifically, it was important for me to use Blackberry's skill because I consistently needed that healing. Afterwards, I just did my normal rotations, tried and really keep careful with Karabi, especially with the Wisp now in the equation. They were really annoying, especially because they kick your character. They don't do as much damage, but they kind of like explode you away from certain areas. Now he does end up doing that ice rig like thing again, but he spins towards you instead of doing that like lightning or like the icicles dropping on the floor now. Very easy, just keep dodging and then just swap to units. Make sure to do it with the highest HP one that you have so you can take a couple hits. After that, he'll be stunned, and then you'll just do your damage and blast him away. And then that was GG for me, essentially. Just finished off with the damage, and then there we go. I got my title Icebreaker, and I was the 1828th player to clear Stage 10 boss. Here are the buffs from the preset that I use on the skill tree if you're curious. I wasn't satisfied with this victory. Using these felt so dirty to me, like unfair, not real. So I reset all the presets, and then my second run commenced. It was so rough at first. It was really brutal because I didn't have my extra tankiness from the HP and defense, and I didn't have my extra damage from the elemental increase and attack increase. I was just missing so much that I felt so weak, and I thought it wasn't even possible at first. I mean, I did fail after fail after fail after fail after fail after fail after fail, to the point that I just took a break and came back the next day. After a short break of fighting this boss, I eventually learned its patterns by memory. I still did miss a couple of attacks and still got hit a little consistently, but I came to the point where I started learning where the attacks were placed and when was happening what. But the one thing that broke me was one single run. I was so close. I didn't know what went wrong. It was almost perfect. But the timer went down to 0. And I didn't get it. But that's not the title of this video. That's not the story of this video. The whole point is that I did it without using any of the buffs. So retry after retry after retry after retry after retry after retry for more than a day of playing this game mode, I beat the Extreme Boss Challenge without any buffs from the skill tree. And this is my full winning run. Enjoy. And that is, my rats, how I completed the Stage 10 Rhyhorn Extreme Boss Challenge without any of the skill tree buffs. Now, take it away from here, past me. You guys can't hear it, but my heart. Oh my god! Oh! I actually managed to do it without any of the buffs. And they said EN players were trash. Oh, I did it. Yes. Oh, I'm done with this game. You guys have a good night, day, whatever time it is for you guys. I'm done. Goodbye.